Ponchatoula teachers will no longer physically intervene to stop a student fight. A handful of teachers and staff did not go to school today to protest the lack of clarity on how they should handle fights. It happened in Tangipahoa Parish at Ponchatoula Jr High. As Erica Ferrando reports, this is in response to the firing of 2 Ponchatoula Jr high school teachers.
While classes went on at Ponchatoula Jr High Thursday, just outside,
what do we want?
Their teachers were demanding change.
When do we want it? Now.
Teachers are protesting the, quote, lack of transparent expectations when breaking up fights with students on campus. They want the school board to create a clear policy on how they should react.
How are we supposed to act in a situation of an altercation to where we can keep everyone safe and our careers are not put on the line?
This protest comes after 2 teachers were fired for pinning down a student after trying to stop a fight.
Hey, you gonna be still.
In this video from March, the 2 Ponchatoula Junior High coaches are seen holding down a 14-year-old girl who was in a fight with another student. Last week, they were both fired. The Tangipahoa Federation of Teachers says teachers will no longer physically break up fights. They'll instead use their voices.
They can't afford to lose their jobs.
Some parents joined the protest, fearing this puts their children in danger.
The reality that these teachers are not going to step in if something happens is scary.
Other parents believe the firings were justified.
I don't think any kid, and especially a girl, should be handled like that. But, you know, any kid should not be handled like I saw on that video.
Tangipahoa Parish Superintendent Melissa Stilley said in a statement the district will create new policies on how to handle violence on campus, and they'll be put in place next year.
Yeah!
In Ponchatoula, Erica Ferrando, Eyewitness News.
And a steady flow of parents checked out their students from school today because of that protest. Teachers are expected to return to class tomorrow.